For more on Trump's latest legal developments, we turn to former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi. Gene, I'm very glad you're here because I find these latest developments more than a little bit confusing. We know 2 New York investigations were underway into Trump, one from Attorney General Letitia James, the other from Manhattan DA Cy Vance, and they are now working together. Do we know what the differences were in their investigations before and what changes now that they're working together?
Well, it's the concept of synergy. 1 + 1 = 5. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. When you have a federal investigation and a state investigation, or here you have a state and basically the Manhattan DA, when they work together, it's a force multiplier. And they can exchange information, they can exchange documents, and share thoughts and strategies. And it's a very good thing, but it's very bad for the people who are subjects and targets, including the Trump org and possibly former President Trump.
The state attorney general also making news, saying her investigation has shifted from purely civil, which could end in fines and other penalties, to criminal, which could end up with somebody going to the big house. What kinds of things can prompt a change like that? New evidence, lying under oath in depositions?
It's definitely new evidence, and it could be in the form of witness testimony or documents. But a state attorney general's office, their major mission is really civil, although many can do criminal. But when they go from civil to criminal, that means they've developed a quantum of evidence that suggests that it may be strong. And I got to focus on this. They started as a civil investigation, and usually they stay in that same lane, that same track. But when they make the decision to go from civil to criminal, then something or a series of events and quantum of evidence may have caused them to go into the other lane, which is a big decision. Because I used to do civil and criminal tax, and a lot of cases were civil. We never went to criminal. But when you go from civil to criminal, that's a big leap. It's a big leap.
So was the Cy Vance Manhattan DA investigation criminal from the very beginning? And could he have uncovered something through his work that prompted that big change from the state AG? And also, could we see criminal charges coming from both entities?
Sure, absolutely. And I'm not an expert on the New York statute, but Cy Vance is a criminal guy. That office does criminal investigations, maybe a little bit of civil, but this case was all criminal. And they may have developed information that they turned over to Attorney General James's office. And that caused her office to say, you know what? We're not going to focus just on civil issues. We're going criminal. But it goes back to there now is a synergistic relationship between the two offices. And as I told my young prosecutors, you know, it's synergistic. 1 + 1 = 5. You know, you have now a team effort that is not good for the subjects and targets.
We know that one or both of these investigations has been focused on the Trump organization altering the value of its properties, listing higher values to get loans and lower values to try and avoid taxes. We also know that Vance has Trump's tax returns and has been leaning on Trump's money man, Alan Weisselberg. Any chance this is a move to add even more pressure on him to flip on Trump?
Oh, absolutely. If Alan Weisselberg eventually cooperates with the feds, with Cy Vance's office, or Attorney General James, that's a very good day for the prosecutors. So I get the feeling that they're turning the prosecutorial screws against Mr. Weisselberg because they are interviewing his family and friends and looking at things that really relate to him. And he is probably feeling the pressure based on public reporting.
But does this suggest to you that that pressure was working and that Weisselberg is actually cooperating, already cooperating?
I don't sense that yet. That's reading too much in the tea leaves. And the other thing is, if he was cooperating now with Cy Vance's office, nothing against prosecutors, but there would be a leak somehow and we would know about it.
We also know, Gene, that Eric Trump has been deposed under oath. If he had inherited his father's distaste for telling the truth, could this be a perjury push?
I don't know if it's a perjury push, but they could use that information that he lied about to maybe build charges against him. It's hard to have a pure perjury count. I've had those, and actually I had acquittals. But you can combine it with major fraud allegations. So when he testified under oath and he did lie, then that gives them information that could support maybe a fraud charge on something regarding their taxes or something else, because that lie informed them that they hid oil.
I'm sure, Gene, that you've heard some of the talk that if Donald Trump was indicted, that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis might work to block his extradition to New York. Also worth noting that Trump is reportedly about to head to New Jersey for the spring and summer. If he hightails it around and heads right back to Florida, that might be a big tip-off. But can DeSantis really shield Trump from prosecution?
Ron DeSantis, based on his actions in the past, will do anything. He'll do anything to help Trump and to stay in the Trump orbit and Trump world. The problem for Mr. DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, show him respect, is that if he doesn't honor an extradition request from a sister state, it's going to hurt Florida prosecutors when they're trying to do the same thing and trying to get defendants in states that they have charged. So he has to be very careful that he doesn't set a very bad precedent for his state. He'll cut his nose to spite his face. But with Ron DeSantis, the sky's the limit, because his actions at times are incredibly irrational.
He also tends to be full of bluster, so maybe we cross that bridge if and when we come to it. Finally, Gene, we knew these investigations posed a big risk to Trump, and they're not the only ones that he's facing, not even the only criminal investigations. But how much worse do you think his legal position is today than it was before this announcement from the New York Attorney General?
I think his legal position is probably about 50% worse, because now you have this behemoth called the New York Attorney General's office that's now focusing on criminal aspects of your organization. And I can't help but believe that Donald Trump, if he's not a target, he's really close to being a target of the New York Attorney General. So in that sense, his legal stature, his legal predicament is much worse.
Former federal prosecutor Gene Rossi always helps us break through the legal confusion. Gene, as always, thank you.